really grateful to be here with not only a friend of mine, but a former coach of one of my kiddos. So, very interesting perspective on, all things kids, all things coaching. But most importantly, I'm really excited for our guest, who I'm going to introduce in a second, because I think he has a thing or two to say about life's adversity. So if you're new here, hello, welcome. Thanks for joining. My name is Bree Wilson, and I started this podcast a couple years ago for really one reason: to build a community that can talk openly about how we turn life's adversity in its many, many forms into an adventure. So, with that, I'm going to stop talking just for a little while and introduce Stevie. And thank you, Stevie, for joining us.
A plus 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 on the intro, by the way. I loved it.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I am Stevie Johnson, a basketball skills development coach here in the East Bay. I have I don't want to date myself, but I have over 15 years of experience. Of course, I played in college and tried to do some pro things that we may dive into a little later. But I love basketball. I love my job. I'm also certified as a strength and conditioning coach. So I have some background in physical fitness and training and things of that nature. So, yeah, just want to share my
Yeah.
story and inspire if I can.
Thank you. Well, you already are. You've inspired me. You've inspired my kids. And a little backstory: Stevie and I, let's see, we met at Club Sport in San
Yep.
Ramon, our gym. And Braden, my 10-year-old, was getting into basketball. Maybe was it a couple years ago? Was it
A
already a
couple years
couple
ago.
years?
Yes,
About
Ben. Yeah,
years, like
because he
2
was
years ago?
young. He was the tiny tyke in the class. he
Now he's like a
was
little
hanging
man.
with the big dogs.
Like, who are you? Um, so you did some hands-on skills coaching. I think it was on Mondays and Wednesdays for, I think, like 4 or 5 months with him,
Yep.
and which was really awesome. And then we'd be working out. So if you're local, basketball skills training, check out the show notes, all the info. I'm going to say that a lot. But no, so we met through Braden, playing basketball. He's not playing basketball right now, but I will say I love enjoying seeing you and your energy when we walk through the gym. I think, there's people when you see on a regular basis, and we've talked about this, where in your community, and you're kind of like, hey, hey. And then sometimes you're like, hey, how are you? Like, we see each other a lot. How you doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And then you had
Yes.
stopped me. You're like, you have a podcast. And I was like, because anytime I'm like, I have a podcast. Oh, so, and that's how this came to be, right? Like, I think I then
Yes.
asked you if you ever want to be on it.
Yes. True story. Yes, that's all true. Yes.
That's all true. So that's the connection. And Stevie, I want to ask you. So take us back to, obviously your passion is basketball. Just going to read about you here just for a second. 1 through 5 Basketball Academy. And the thing
That's
I love about your tagline on your website, it's bigger than basketball. I mean, mic drop for you right there. Because tell me about your journey. Tell me about everything. And I'm just going to be quiet now. How did that start?
So overall with basketball and my
Yeah.
background from being adopted to not being recruited. Of course, I played high school. I kind of did I would say not the traditional route. I went to JC. I sat out a year. Then I went to my university, which was Cal State Hayward at the time. Now it's East Bay. But usually people's journeys a little bit more. Hey, I go to high school, I go to JC, I go to college, where I had time in between actually from high school to junior college to my university. And there's more reasoning behind it, but deep down, I just know there's more that goes on behind the scene, and it's support, it's faith, it's trust, it's who's in your circle. And me being older and being able to take a step back and look at other people's basketball journey, and I'm like, hey, why is this person here? And I'm like, man, this basketball is what's maybe driven them there, but it's the things outside of basketball. So I just noticed that a lot of this stuff is way bigger than basketball, right?
Yeah.
Um,
That's
so
that's super cool. Like it's it's looking back, just playing sports growing up, and then my kids, the adults in your life outside your family, coaches, literally have an incredible opportunity, and it happens a lot. And I'm sure you see it, where you have such a amazing opportunity if the child is receptive, and I'm sure it's
Yes.
different times and different things, but what a cool opportunity to impact someone's basketball life and their life,
Yes.
right?
Yes. And that's what I'm all about. And that's what kind of the bigger than basketball, like I say holistic approach. It's, how's home, how's school, how's your friend network. All these things can play into it. So you could be a phenomenal player, but if things aren't right and you're worried about what's going on at home, or
Yeah.
your academics aren't doing well, it plays a part into the decisions you make and how you feel
Mhm.
about yourself and things like that. So that's
Yeah.
kind of how I came up with that.
Well, and tell me, like, on that note, I mean, you're in the gym, you've got kids of all different, the age range goes from, tell me the age range again that you coach.
So I start as young as 8. The bulk of my business is more like high school kids. So I would say that 14 to 17 range, but I train a lot of kids who play like high level. Like I have some
Yep.
kids playing overseas,
Yep.
still in college, and now they're like 20, 21, 22, which is really cool to see kids that I've been working with from middle school. And mom and dad would bring them to the gym to now they have mustaches and they're muscular and
like,
they're
they're like
yeah,
shredded.
they're running the show now, and I never see the parents. But it's a cool dynamic. But yeah, I've even trained some people that's like in their 40s, just because they like
Cool.
basketball. They're
Yeah.
one thing I commend for them, and I know other people kind of like, "What are you doing? You're not going to make it to the NBA, that type of thing." But it's like you're always constantly learning, and you should be constantly learning. And even me as a basketball trainer, just because that's my job, I'm still learning every day and trying to consume
Yeah.
knowledge and figure out ways to make myself better. So I commend people who do that. And basketball is just a vehicle to help you with fitness. So I'm all for it.
And how cool that those 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, whoever, that's like just pure joy, like the joy of playing. Like,
Yes.
why not? Like, actually, like, that's so cool when someone's like, "Oh, I'm taking a violin class." My friend Omira, I'm like, "You're taking a violin class?
Yeah,
Like,
what do you
you
do?
work at Apple." Like, "Oh, okay."
Exactly.
I'm like, "You're awesome." And I'm
Yeah,
like, and
that's
then she's like, "Oh,
good.
and then I'm going to visit the horsey." And then I'm like, "You she like cultivates time for joy."
And that's important. And it's balance. I just seen something on social media talking about balance, and also taking it a step further. I realized there's some correlation between things. So with Steph Curry, him golfing actually calms down his heart and his thinking to help him on the basketball court. So him shooting a free throw, he's like, man, I'm putting from 15 to 20 yards out or 20 feet out. I'm gonna slow down my breathing. I'm gonna channel in, and so there's carryover as well. So super important.
Yeah, and you look at it from having played basketball as a player, then you've got it from the coaching, then you've got it from your background and like knowing physiology and what's actually happening in your body when you're in like a game
Yes,
situation, and like how to calm yourself,
yes,
right? And then
super
you've been in that situation, then you've seen it from all angles.
holistic.
Mm. It's so much more than basketball. I mean, and so the question I want to ask you, day to day, you have age 8 to 18 to 20 to coming back for, between college seasons, all of that. When, tell me how, when your players walk into the gym or run into the gym, or, they're goofing off running in, or they're like, meh, tell me how do you what have you learned about like reading the energy and picking up on the energy of your players, and like, I guess that question is when your players walk in, what's going through your mind, and what are you kind of thinking about as a coach?
So I'm trying to, you know, read them, but I'm trying to like lighten the mood because, like you said, I don't know what's happened at home, Was
Yeah.
did they bomb a test? Did they have a breakup? Were they speeding here? Did they get a tip? Like all of these things. So I just try to lighten the mood, crack a
Mm.
joke. I'm big on, and like I said, this holistic approach. I'm big on like empowering each other. So I'm like, shake a hand, say what's up. I like your shirt. How are you doing? A lot of my kids, I'm not gonna lie, are they say shy, and they're like, I don't want to interrupt, but I'm like, you're not interrupting. Just say hi and then do it moving, like get out the way. You don't have to have like some big hug, handshake, twirl around. It's just, hey, coach, like, I'm gonna go to the side. Most of my kids, especially the kids I've been training with me for a long time, they know there's daily vitamins and things that we have to kind of do before we get started. So it could be foam rolling, to kind of work on some stretching. There's ball handling, there's shooting. Some kids kind of go off to the side and meditate. So it kind of, I would say, depends on their age, where they are, and then like the newbies, they just stand around and just look at me like I don't know what to do, and I'm like, relax, relax, grab a ball, shoot, say hi
Like
to somebody.
shake it, loosen
Yeah,
up.
shake. You're making me nervous. And it's actually that's probably one of my hardest parts is like incorporating new people because they're like you can tell they stand out. And I'm just like, relax. You're in a gym. There's a few open baskets. Like, and I know with COVID and social media and things like that, I've seen a big change in kids' personality. Like kids, hey, can I shoot with you? Or now it'll be four kids shooting on four different baskets, and I'm like, why don't you guys just shoot together? Like meet somebody, talk. Um, but it is what it is. I try to figure out a way to cultivate a positive environment for sure.
Well, so many good points there because what I was thinking when you were saying all that was you are literally teaching them and helping them with social skills. It's literally social skills with a basketball
Yes,
and learning how to fail and learning how to handle fear and learning how to celebrate but like be humble and then
yes,
also be respectful but then like don't but then stand up for like it's so many things.
yes,
And then
yes.
you're a psychologist in a way. I mean, you're not
Yes.
you are not,
Yeah, yeah.
but you are not a psychologist. You are the sports psychology as the coach is also in your description.
Realm, yes. Yes. It's funny, I always joke around and I'm like, for example, if I was training you, I'm like, hey, what do you like outside of basketball? And you would be like, I like ice cream. And I'm like, hey, Johnny in the group, his dad owns 5 ice cream shops. And you might be able to get free ice cream if you would talk to like, because you never know who's who. And also I really encourage, and I used to be a little reluctant to do it, but I want groups of like different age groups, different backgrounds, so we can kind of, oh, he comes from a single home family, he comes from grandma and grandpa have to bring him, but it you start caring for each other, you
Mm.
realize everybody's situation isn't the same, but we can all coexist. And it's just, I think it's super important. And I was kind of put in those situations like organically and didn't know it at the time. And now looking back, I'm like, man, my best friend was, a white kid who was an artist and does tattoos now. And, all my other friends played. I was only one of my peers who played basketball. And I
That's
had to like,
cool.
should I like be a football player? I'm like, I love hoop. Like I'm a hoop. And then my friends would support me, after their football season with my basketball. So, just
That-
betting on myself and being me, which I've always kind of tried to do. So,
I love that. And I remember when Braden would go, whenever I'd pick him up, he'd be
yeah,
with like a girl that was way older and like 3 feet taller. And I'd be like, sweet. Like, this is awesome. Cause it's like, and then it was like, I mean, it was such a beautiful, like, let's go. Come on.
yeah,
Like you're
yeah,
capable. Like you can follow rules too. Just cause you're
yeah.
little doesn't mean you can't, you know?
Hang,
Yeah, and they learn, and I loved it, and I loved it. It was boys and girls and ages and different races. It's literally how life should be because
yeah,
who cares anyway? Like who cares what you look like, what you're we care about like the connection. We care
yes,
about
that's
like
super important.
that's it. Like why are we doing all like what are we here for, you know?
Yep,
Um another thing you said like you don't really know who's walking in with what. And it's just such a powerful reminder. Like every single day, how often do we forget that? Like
all the time.
in every setting you're in, doesn't matter where you go.
Something's happened today for everybody. A bad call, a good call, a so-so, a text, a hiccup on the way to wherever you're going. Something is happening. So, like I said, I'm trying to be sensitive to the fact that, um, because like I said, you don't know.
You really don't. And then, like, how often are we like, gosh, they have no idea what I'm going through? And I'm like, how often do I have no idea what you're going through? Like,
Exactly. You get caught
that,
up in your own, right, and not knowing about other people's, feelings and things of that nature.
oh, yeah. So tell me, and I'm gonna a little bit more. I want to do a little. We're gonna talk about basketball throughout, but I want to
Yeah,
talk a little bit more about what like how you're working with kids and all that. And then, if it's okay with you, I'd like to rewind and kind of talk about more of your journey, kind of leading to this point, if that works for you.
that's
Um,
perfect.
yeah, and I always tell my guests, I'm like squirrel all over the place. I'm very like,
It's all good.
so I try to have a flow. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Um, but when you're working with kids, young adults, for the parents out there, for the aunts, for the uncles, for the all the people that interact with kids from age 8 to teens to the 20s, what have you learned and what can you help us with? How do you connect? What have you found about like what helps foster that connection on and off the court?
I would say communication is super important. Patience is super important, and understanding it's a process. And far as the communication, it's a lot more times than not. I feel like the parents or the whoever the guardian is doing more of the legwork, far as the talking and the expectations, as opposed to just checking in with the kid and, hey, like, do you like this? What did you learn? Um, what didn't you like? Seeing the kid grow. So I'll commend you and your husband for when your son would come to my class. You guys would kind of stick around and like, what is he doing? Like, is he yelling at my kid? Is my kid paying attention? Is my kid improving? But then there's a communication piece afterward of like, hey, I seen you doing this drill. That seemed hard. He'd be like, oh, it wasn't that hard, or we're getting better, and things of that nature. So I would just encourage people to just communicate and then
Yeah.
just be patient and understand it's a process. Like Steph Curry, and I'm sorry to keep kind of just bringing him up. I'm just,
No, it's
he's an icon, right? And he's a Bay guy. We adopted him, but his success didn't come overnight. He's a testament of hard work and betting on yourself. So just like these little kids, 8 years old, 9 years old, and even my middle school and high school kids, it's like, hey, your story's not finished. Like, just keep stacking days, and that's something I always like tell my kids. I don't know if you see the checker flag emoji on.
I
on
do. I
that's my
do.
that's my favorite emoji, and it's a symbol of a marathon, and you just continue to stack days. And when we fast forward, we're like, whoa, I can't believe. Just like with you, I'm commending you for 86, but it started off with one. That's amazing, right?
Thank you.
Um, so yeah, no worries. So yeah,
By the
just
way,
being patient.
that was a clip. That was a clip. Immediately when you said stacking days, I love how you said that because it's just with anything, right? Like it just feels sometimes so insurmountable when you start. You're like, how in the
Yeah,
hell am I going to develop this skill? Or how am I going
yeah,
to get to this? Or how am I going to build this business? Or how am I going to raise this kid and do it right? It's like, well,
stack a
sounds like
day.
you're going to do it one day at a time. That's how you're going to do
Exactly,
it. Stack.
exactly.
I'm getting chills. Like there's always a moment where I'm like, stacking days.
That's all you have, and repeat, and repeat, and repeat, and repeat. And days turn into weeks, turn into months, turn into a year, and um, you are where you are. So it doesn't happen overnight. And that's what, in a world where it's instant. Hey, I post this picture. I'm cute. I get 1,000 likes. That's not real life, right? It
You're
take
right.
It takes
Although
time. Losing weight, it you didn't gain it overnight. You don't lose it overnight. It takes time, right?
totally. And then the instant gratification, it fades so quickly. There's no, I mean, not no, there's not as much struggle. Like the struggle's tough, right? But like
Yeah.
in anything, but it makes that end point or that point so sweeter where you're like, damn, I waited for that. That was a lot of stacking days, and there's a lot of sore muscles or a lot of like self doubt, but I kept stacking days despite that, right?
Also, I feel like you appreciate it more when you put in the work. I just read something and it was talking about getting to the finish line fast and how like you know the speed as opposed to just being consistent. I may have it a little confused, but basically it's just more so, hey, consistency is always going to prevail over, hey, the quick fix, the quick. I got to the destination point. I'm like, no, like be consistent. Like, you know, you're going to appreciate it more. It's easier to maintain. Um, so
Yes, yes, I love that. Um, you mentioned, so again, so much, and again, anything I say, please go check the show notes. You can learn more about Stevie, about, bigger than basketball, about everything he offers, fitness, coaching, mentorship on the court, which naturally just leads to mentorship in life, which I think is beautiful. Um, you mentioned one word that I love, faith, when you were talking about just your journey and everything. What what does faith mean to you?
I feel like it's believing in something higher and bigger and better than you.
Mm.
You know what that may be. But just knowing, I feel like God gives you things that you can control and you can handle, and that's why everybody's journey is different. And so, if you have faith, it's not gonna it's not gonna rain forever. Like the sun is gonna come out. So you just gotta stack days,
Mm.
and it's going. You know, things are gonna get better. Things are gonna improve. So, like I said, just believing in something bigger and better and higher than you know the
Yeah.
individual himself for sure.
Ooh, so the faith actually gives you the ability to stack those days when you really
Yes.
are like, I don't feel like stacking another day because it's not working or I'm feeling it. But faith is the thing that says, well, we just keep stacking days because that's what we do. We have faith that what it's not gonna, once you keep stacking them, everything changes as you stack them,
Yep.
it seems, right?
Yep. I tell my athletes, I say, make it happen or make excuses. So we all have excuses, but just make it happen. I can wake up earlier. I can come at night. I can do my homework at lunchtime. Like you can make it happen or you can make excuses. And that's how you continue to stack days, right?
It's when you start having the conversations with yourself when you're like, well, do I really? And you're like, and go do it. Like, what are we
Exactly.
doing? What are we doing? You know, it's like the ability to kind of catch yourself in that. But then I think that's where, like you were saying, surrounding yourself with the right people, being in positive environments, valuing yourself, like you're able to build faith by the people you surround yourself
Yes.
with, right?
Yes. Yes. That's why even a place like the gym, for example, me seeing you multiple times a week doing your fitness, I'm like, I gotta come back again because I know she's trying to beat me. I gotta get like I see her husband benching. I'm like, I gotta bench too, right? Um,
Ryan, oh, I'm gonna give him a little shout out, and he's been on the podcast too. He'll be 50 in May, and
see,
he loves to lift. He's a lifter. He's like, there's no reason I can't look like Hugh Jackman. If he's 55, why can't I? I'm like, there isn't. And he's like, there's no reason I can't. I'm like, exactly.
get
Go lift.
after it. Make excuses or make it happen.
Totally. And I think and it's about for him so much more than the actual, like, of course, it feels good to like be strong and feel good and physical, but like, it's a confidence thing where he's like, I can, it's like lifting every rep is like a metaphor for life.
True story.
It's adversity in every
Yes.
single rep, right?
Yes. Yes.
On purpose, right? Oh man, so many light bulb moments going off. Okay, so we've talked about basketball, which I think is a common thread through your life. You mentioned faith, you mentioned surrounding yourself with good people. And I wanted to thank you for being vulnerable and sharing the fact that you're adopted. I appreciate
Yes.
that. I appreciate the authenticity, and I appreciate the adoptee community that I have learned so much more about through interviewing. I think you're the fourth person who has an adoptee story on the podcast. So thank you, because I think it's just a community that is full of tremendous, amazing people with all different kinds of stories, you know? So, and
Yes.
again, I'm not an adoptee, so I don't want to misspeak, but I've learned so much more about that experience just in the last 6 months through conversations.
Yeah.
So, whatever you're comfortable sharing, tell me about your journey as through adoption.
So I want to say early, maybe when I was like 4 years old. My older brother went to a local high school, was a standout athlete, was getting tons of scholarship offers to play basketball, run track, and he also played football, but he was okay at that. Um, but his track and field coach was like, "Hey, what's going on? Like you're kind of slacking in the classroom." So pretty much, both of my older brothers were kind of trying to take care of me because my mom and dad weren't really in the picture. Drug use, just life. Back
Yeah.
in the '80s,
Yep.
not in the greatest area. I was born in Vallejo.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually I moved to Vacaville with the family that eventually adopted me. But before I was adopted by this family in Vacaville, his track and field coach actually took me in for 3 years to help my brother graduate, one, and
Amazing.
earn his scholarship to go to Southern University and run track and play basketball. And so the plan was for me to just stay with them for 4 years so my brother can graduate. And then my brother would take me in. But my brother didn't like Southern, so he came back. He came back to California, went to a JC,
Mm-hmm.
and then transferred to the University of Washington. And during my brother's tenure at University of Washington, where he was playing running track, he was still trying to like take me in. But I mean, he's 21, 22 years old, trying to take
Yeah.
in a 7-year old like that. That's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
Um, so during this time, and granted, I'm so young, I don't know this is going on. And mind you, my scope of location, geography, Vallejo is everything. So if you told me, hey, I'm going to San Francisco, I'm like, oh, Vallejo, San Francisco, California. Like I didn't know
That's
Vallejo was my hub. So I want to say around like 8 or 9 years old. Yeah, 9 years old. I missed school, and we're driving to Vacaville, but I don't know what Vacaville is. So I'm like looking out the
I'm
window,
excited.
like,
Yeah.
what's going on? Why am I not in school? And then I'm sitting with this family, an older family, a Christian family, an older family, and they're just talking, and I'm just sitting there like, why am I here? And then I get in the car, and they're like, how did you like that family? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, they seem like nice people, but I didn't know I was supposed to be like quizzing them or taking notes on how they
Yeah.
are. But anyway, they're like, hey, you may live with them. And I'm like, well, why? They don't look like me. We don't have the same last name. It's not my family. Like, what's going on? I'm super confused. Um, and they're like, it just like, your course here is kind of like ran its course. Your brother isn't graduating on time due to his, setbacks from transferring and things of that nature. And it looks like he won't be able to allow me to move to Washington with him. So it may be best for you to go to this family in Vacaville and do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like I said, it was a culture shock because it was Vacaville in like the early '90s. It wasn't too many African American families in the community. I went from, and I'm not saying all of Vallejo is bad, but I went from me and my mom, in a 1 bedroom apartment in the not so nice community to then I'm like, nice grass, neighbors. It was like Leave It to Beaver type families. I'm like, what's going on? No
What is
pit
happening?
bulls, no like broken down cars. It was a lot. But I think it helped shape me to see like life 360 instead of just being tunnel vision and thinking and moving a certain way.
So you were 8, 9 years old during that time?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I was
Yeah.
adopted so I had two families. So I
Yeah.
live with my track and field coach, and so there's foster care, and then
Yep.
there's like full on like adoption where you can
Sure.
change your name and things
Yep.
like that. So I want to say I was in foster care for both because I had no name change or nothing. They were just
Yeah.
like legal
They were
guardian.
fostering. Yep.
Yes, exactly. And
Yeah.
so the people that I live with in Vacaville, actually, I was the only kid that lived with them from 9 years old to 18. So they were kind of like a transition house for people. So while I stayed with them, there
Oh.
was a few kids who would kind of stay there for like a couple months before they got placed
Oh.
with somebody else. So it was
Oh.
unique, and it was a testament to maybe my behavior and then also our connection that I was able to do that because I know a lot of kids kind of bounce around if they don't have the right fit. Um, so
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you again and for sharing that. I appreciate I know it's part of your story, but I just appreciate like your vulnerability and I don't take it lightly when you're opening up about, really big life altering changes at such a young
yeah,
age. And then a second thing I wanted to um obviously I don't know the families that took you in, but like such a reminder of like the good in the world, right? And
yeah,
just the when I hear that, I'm just like, there's so much good despite all the toughness. You see these moments of what a beautiful thing to do, right?
yes,
I mean, doesn't mean it wasn't challenging for you, and we'll get to that. But I just I look at the families who provide like good foster care and strong like healthy adoptions, and it's just it's a great to hear that.
yeah,
Now one thing I have learned from I think, let's see, Julie, Jim, Nikki, um a few people, that while they're very grateful for that, it is hard. It's
very,
hard.
very,
Adoption, being not with your, and then I'll be quiet, not being with your birth parents, even if it's a better situation for you, that's traumatic.
very.
So I wanted to acknowledge that. Yeah. Like
You just feel like so especially with the track and field coach, because I was around them before I actually lived with them. It was more like I'm living with my friends,
Sure.
right? And I live right up the street from the high school. Their kids were like a little bit older than me, but it, it wasn't so weird. But then moving to Vacaville with like I'm this pretty tall at that age. They have a different last name, and then you're like, well, my parents don't love me. Like you kind of go through that type of thing, and you see like I remember my friends would come over. And they'd be like, "Where's Where's the pictures of your parents? Or where's pictures of you when you were little?" And I'm like I would kind of like lie or
Hmm.
try to like just pivot. And to be honest, being older now, but I would say if you would have met me like 10 years ago and we had this podcast, I probably wouldn't have said anything about being adopted because I didn't like it. I thought it was like I had like an ailment or something like that. Now with hearing other people's story and realizing like I'm pretty blessed to be in this situation. The family that took me and loved me as if I was their own. They've since passed, but their kids call me every Christmas, Thanksgiving.
Oh.
Come over. We miss you. We want to see pictures of your son. How's your
Oh.
wife? So it's been like a really cool thing. And I would say so I stayed with them for 9 years. I would say like more than half of that time I didn't like it. I was in trouble in school
Mm.
and kind of
Yeah.
in a shell. And then after I left at 18, I came back and realized like, I mean, these are some good people. Like, I started opening up and being me a little bit. So it
Yeah.
was a blessing for sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's just, listen, life is for any child, any person growing up and navigating life, it's not easy for anyone. And I just think that it's really important to have conversations and know that, you know, kids who are in foster care, anyone who has been adopted, even as an adult, that like there's a lot that you have to reconcile and kind of like examine. And I think I just want, and I'm especially glad that this podcast is a place where um, the community of men, women, kids who have been adopted or adopted kids, let's just talk about it. Let's talk about
Yeah.
like what, you know, just what we all go through. And like um I just appreciate that conversation because I think we are all in a community where we don't even know who has, we don't know. I didn't know you were not like when you had mentioned that to me, I was like, oh, but
Yeah.
like I was like, oh my gosh, it was yet another reminder. Like you just don't know anything about. I don't know. I just sort of. I
You
think in my
think
mind, I
everything
assumed like you probably grew up here, went to, you know, you just
crazy
assume,
stories
assume.
in your hands. Yep.
And so I think there's so much wisdom in like, although it was very difficult, I'm sure you have developed so many superpowers as a result of having to adjust to adversity at like a very, very young age.
Yes. So it's funny. So I have three tags for my business. So 1 through 5 is the positions that I train, 1 through 5.
Wow.
And then so it's OTF, but it's
Yep.
also ones they fear. So I want people to like, hey, I train with Stevie Johnson. I know he's a good trainer, and kids know that, or people know that. They're like, oh man, like that fear of like, I'm playing against Kobe, I'm playing against LeBron, like, and then only the family. And so I treat all my kids like family. And with my journey of being adopted and living with my brother's track and field coach, and then living with the Lowe's was their name. And
Mhm.
then I just want to shed a little light on my best friend and his family. He was a white guy, and he
Mhm.
lived maybe a block away. But they invited me to all their family events, and it was only supposed to be them. So I'd be like, "Hey, we're going to Tahoe," and
Mhm.
Brian, my best friend, would be like, "Oh, can Stevie come?" And I'm like, "Sure, no doubt." And then his sister would be like, "Can I bring a friend?" And they're like, "No," and she would be like, "Well, why can't like Stevie's not?" And they're like, "No, he's family." So what I realized with like now zooming out, I'm like, family doesn't have to be, somebody who looks like you, has the same last name as you. It's just people who are in your circle who have your best interests, and those are things that I've like realized, and I'm actually blessed that the Lowe's took me in one, and then I get to see like I'm like I would be jealous of some of my other peers. I'm like, man, your mom and dad are in your life, but I'm like
Yeah.
they're at home drinking, and nothing against that, but
Yeah.
it's not as pleasant as it may seem. So I'm thinking everything is like bad on my end, and I'm like I'm in a home with people who love me, and they're doing the best that they can. Um,
Mm. Mhm.
so
That
everybody's journey is different, but
yeah, yeah. 100%. Like you never know what's going on. And so it's like to what is it? There's a quote, and I think my dad must have told me it too. Like assumption is the parent of all mistakes, or somebody said that. Like it's just
yeah,
you might get lucky and assume right, but a lot of times I assume a lot that it's like, where did you come up with that? You have no idea what
exactly.
you're talking about, Bree. Like you literally just created that in your head. Like
Yeah,
cool. Which I'm working on that. Sometimes I'm just like, what are you stop? What are you doing? That's not reality. Um,
exactly.
but yeah, so well, shout out to your best friend, shout out to the Lowe's, shout out to your track and field coach, shout out to all the mentors and awesome, friends turned family, right?
Yeah,
Like, and I know you have faith, and I do feel that um, in the toughest of times, you can be like mid crisis, and then, you know, some random person walks by and says something, or is like, hey, you need a hug? And you're like,
I
yeah,
do.
I do. And sure, that literally has happened to me where I'm like, yes, I know. And I don't even know you, but please. And it's cool because like we're all just humans and we all really don't know what we're doing, right? We're all just figuring it out. Um, so no, I appreciate that insight. Do you have if there's anyone listening who is an adoptive parent, who is considering helping out with fostering, who has a friend that just adopted a child or an adolescent, and I think I know what you're going to say, but I'm going to let you say it, say whatever comes to mind. Any kind of off the cuff coaching for that particular situation because you've been in it?
For the adoptee or for the family?
Well, let's start with the adoptee. If there's anyone who's an adoptee who's listening and might be struggling through transitions.
I would just say patience,
Yeah.
um, trust the process, um, understand. Like I said, I know it could you could feel like, hey, maybe somebody doesn't love you, but it's actually like on the back end, like somebody does love you, and they're investing their time and energy towards you. And I know the thing is with I feel like anything, there's pros and cons to it, and there's good and bad to it. But it's like, hey, let me see, let me try to make the best of it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and try to make it a two-way street instead of a one-way street. And I hear situations where kids are like, going into people's homes and, misbehaving and acting
Mm,
out. And it's just a form of like, hey, I need attention and things of that nature.
totally.
But I would try to find a way to show compassion to them because they're trying to help you out. And then just talking, being more upfront and communicating on like, hey, this is what's going on. This is how I feel. This is where I'm at. So then they can understand you as well, right?
Yeah.
The cool thing about the people that I live with, they were older, and they were like, "Do you want us? Do you want to call us mom and dad? Do you want to call us grandma and grandpa? Like, do you
That's
want to call us
awesome.
just by our last name?" And I was like, "Grandma and grandpa seems cool to me." So when anybody asked, I was like, "Oh, that's my grandma and grandpa," because like how they, but their kids call me like their brother, and I'm like always like, I want to call you uncle. Like I want to call you auntie, but it is what it is.
Well,
Um,
how cool that they just had that dialogue of what would you like?
yeah,
Like ask the question. Or if you're it sounds like if you're in the situation, it's really hard, but the more you open up, like you have to kind of try again. I haven't been in the situation, but it sounds like what you're saying is try to ask for help or say I'm struggling. I'm really
yeah,
struggling with this whole thing, or I don't like it that I have to call you this, or just try to talk, right? To someone you
yeah.
trust.
Yes. I feel like communication in all forms of life is super important, and it doesn't need to be a long, drawn out, but sometimes it's just like, I don't know what to say. Can you tell me what you would like for me to say or do? Or how can I make this transition easier for you?
Yeah.
Um, I noticed this when I was living with the Lowe's. I would get snappy when my grandma would ask me, "Hey, I'm like, hey, I'm going to hang out. I'm going with Marcus." And she's like, "Well, where are you going?" And I'd be like, "Don't worry," like, ah. And she'd be like, but you wouldn't like it would kind of turn into like a little spat or whatever, a little tiff. And now being older and being a parent, I'm like, she was asking because hey, I'm with Marcus and I could be in Sacramento, I could be in Fairfield, I could be in San Francisco, I could be at his house. So just having that communicate, like, why am I asking you where you are? It's not to be nosy or in your business, but it's just like, hey, if something happens, I know you're 30 minutes away or you're right around the corner. So like I said, with
Yeah.
communication, I didn't find that out until like I was like 18, like getting ready to go to college. She was like,
Totally.
I'm not trying. I'm like, okay. So like I said, communication is
Yeah.
super important. And then the kid, just understanding this is new life. And so the lows, they brought me like new life because I was in a bad situation living in Vallejo and I could have went down a whole different path. And they kind of opened my eyes up to a whole new world by just moving 30 minutes away from, where I was raised.
Yeah. Your
You know,
environment, right? Like I think they say like and I know especially as a child, but in general, like you're an average of again, I'm just pulling out all
the
these
people you're
sayings. I don't know.
around.
The 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yes,
And I'm
most
like, oh,
definitely.
sorry for anyone who hangs out with me all the time. You're probably like, ah! But like, I bring up the energy a little. But I was like, okay. I was like, let's see, my kids, my mom, and I'm like, okay, I think I'm doing all right.
Sounds about right. Accurate.
But there was times when I was looking at that going, ooh, yeah, Bree, negative. Or maybe, ooh, Bree, what choices are you making? Are you a good one in that five? Or are you being dumb?
You're the bad one. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you being a good five for somebody?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Most
Um,
definitely.
and okay, so you mentioned that you're a dad, and I've seen your cute son at the
Thank you so
gym. How old
much.
is he now?
Dominic is 5 going on 15. He think he grown.
Oh,
He's
he's
5. Yeah.
oh, so his cheeks are squishy, but he's got like major. He's finding his whole identity, right?
Yes. Crazy personality. Crazy personality. But I love it. I'd rather it be like that than, him being quiet and, things of that nature,
Well, I remember him bopping around the gym one time. Like I saw like him like this was a couple of years ago. He must have been
Okay.
2 or 3, where he was like, where I was
Uh-huh.
like, oh my gosh, he's so cute. Like it was like I couldn't handle it. So gosh, that life as a basketball coach, as somebody who's gone through adversity early, that must really make fatherhood such a just incredible experience for you.
Yes, most definitely. It's funny sometimes. It's not funny, but me and my wife will like sit around and she's like, how do your parents not talk to you? Like, how could you imagine doing this to Dominic? And I'm like, never in a million years. But I know there's other vices out there, as far as drugs, other things in the world that could pull you away. So I don't really think it's them intentionally. So I don't want to judge. And to be honest, like in my unique situation, I actually had a relationship with my mom. She's alive. I went to see her as I've gotten older. I have my brother and sister's contact. So my adoption situation isn't your typical, where it's like, hey, everybody's cut off. You don't know them. It was kind of weird in high
Yeah.
school because I was good in basketball and I get a lot of notoriety in the newspaper. And they were kind of like, hey, don't put him in the newspaper. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? And they like, as far as like my parents finding me, so it was just a lot of weird
Mm.
things. Um, but like I kind of went off topic a little bit, but like I said, just looking back, I'm like, man, I can't. It's a beautiful thing to have my son and see like little Stevie. Everybody, calls him little Stevie. Bopping around and growing up and doing what he does. So
Well, and thank you again for being vulnerable about that, because I think it's when you become a parent, you like look at everything in your childhood and you're like, oh, like you things are either reaffirmed that you believed again, or you're just like, whoa, I see why that, okay, that makes sense. Or
yeah,
ooh, I probably would have handled that differently. But like again, and one of my friends was like, you give, just like God says give yourself grace, you got to give your parents grace, in that we are all like human. We're all, it doesn't dismiss accountability, but I do think that I agree with what you said, that there are like such strong forces that pull people, that their struggle isn't necessarily, is not a reflection of who you are. It's a struggle that they
yeah,
can't beat. They
exactly,
can't beat.
exactly.
And then everybody becomes collateral damage almost,
Yep.
right? I mean, just from my observations, it seems like the more I learn that the people that hurt you, it's never like about you.
Yeah, it's
I'm
them.
like, it really feels like it is, but it's
Yeah,
really not.
exactly. What's funny is I have five. I'm one of 5 siblings, and I'm the only one that's adopted. I was the only one that was adopted. I have 2 older brothers, one who passed away, and I have a younger brother and a younger sister, and I'm the only one that's adopted. But I'm
Wow.
thriving and doing my thing and my business and have a good name in the community. And I'm kind of like, I'm not from San Ramon, but I'm making a thriving business and hopefully I have good credibility in the community as far as what I'm doing, just due to my passion and caring. So
You are you are, I just want to say you're a fantastic member of the community, and I really love the energy that you bring to the gym, the way you walk. I mean, you really you've had a great energy, and it's no surprise to me that now that there's like a story of a lot of adversity, because I feel like another quote, there's that like adversity introduces a man to himself, right? Like it
yeah.
really strips you down. And I'm sorry that it had to happen to you at such a young age. Like, just, I know you're doing great now, but I as a mother feel for that pain that you must have felt as a kid. So I just,
Mhm.
it's hard hearing stuff like that. But what's beautiful is that you've literally taken all of that and like transmuted it into, now you are raising your son, and you're helping parents raise their kids.
Yeah.
You are.
Yeah.
Like, you really are. You're an extension of, I mean, they'll probably listen to you more in some phases of life. Like, my parents are annoying, but Coach Stevie, what do you think? And you're like,
I
oh,
have
I'm saying the same thing as my parents.
multiple.
Damn it. Right.
I'm the mediator for a lot. I'm like, hey, mom, dad, back up. I'm talking to the case. She has a boyfriend. They broke up. Like I've had
Oh.
conversations, and kids have kind of confided to me things that they wouldn't tell their parents.
Oh.
I've actually told kids like, hey, if you're in a jam, give me a call. Like if you don't want to talk to mom and dad about this, I'm
Be a
a
safe
somebody you can
space
listen
to,
to. Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So yeah,
That's Kids need that. Adults need that, especially in the world today where you, even just having one person, one sounding board, like you're gonna get. What I really like about your style though is you're authentic with them, and you're like, let's go, like. And Braden needs that. Like, like
yeah,
Braden gets some of the. I played softball, and we're lazy a little bit on the court, because we don't have to run far distance. So, like, we need. I It's really good that you also push the kids. You're not like coddling them, like, oh no. It's like, no, you can, come on, let's go, pick it up. And the way you do it is, they need to be pushed in a way that, like, you can tell in your tone of voice that you care for them, but you're also pushing them outside, like, to a good outside their comfort zone. That's why you grow.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so I just want to commend you for that, because I think
No, thank you. I appreciate it.
it's hard to find that balance, you
Yes,
know.
very hard. And some kids think it's, oh, he's being mean. And I'm like, actually, so deep down with all this and what I'm doing, I'm like, I care. And sometimes I, I care too much. And that's why I get like frustrated sometimes with people who don't understand what I'm doing or whatever. But I know life, especially being an adult now, I'm like, life isn't fair. People aren't going to be nice to you. When it comes to, hey, who gets hired, who gets fired, these opportunities, it's the ones that's putting in that extra work. So I'm like, hopefully within my business and being kind of connected to me and learning some of the morals and standards that I set, you're like, oh, I'm prepared for these opportunities. I know I got to work a little bit harder to get this job. I got to work a little bit harder to get that A, or whatever that may be in life. So that's what I'm trying to like
Mm.
set the tone for sure. It's,
You definitely are, because the things that you're teaching them in there, to like high five your neighbor, be accountable for your role, don't be selfish on the court, but like also take the big shot. They walk out of there, and then they see their buddy upset. Okay, give him a high five. Okay, hey, who wants to volunteer for this presentation? Oh, I can do it. It's the same thing.
yeah,
You're literally coaching them through situations on the court that literally map to life, and I
yes.
think that's amazing.
Nah, thank you. I appreciate that.
You are, and I'm looking at the time. We're coming up to about the sweet spot here. I know that you did beat our friend Irv. Irv, I'm interviewing him in the next, I think, 2 weeks. We've got a
Nice.
common friend, but I want to put a little pause here, because I would love to have you back in some capacity. And I'm thinking maybe like a little coaching panel, maybe a, I don't know. My brain is already cooking up things of,
Okay.
we can talk about kids, mental health, sports psychology. I think there's just a lot of opportunity to have some really important conversations that I think you've started here. So,
Thank you. I
um,
appreciate it. Most definitely looking forward to helping any way I can.
yeah. Well, guys, I'm going to give Stevie one chance here to close it out. But before I do that, please, again, check out Stevie's Instagram, check out his website. It's right there. I'm pointing down low in the show notes. Check it out. I'm sure he would love to chat with you, whether you're local or, you would just like a little bit of his wisdom. Now, Stevie, because I don't know how to sign out episodes, what would you like to leave us with on this Friday, going into the weekend? All things adversity. The mic is yours.
I would encourage you to continue to have faith, stack days. Make sure you have a network of people that are on the same journey and path as you, so it makes it easier to kind of continue to go down that successful road that you may be going down for sure.
I love it. I love it. Stacking days. We're stacking days. And thanks to you, Stevie, we are stacking episodes. You are episode 86. Guys,
Thank you.
check out the show notes. And once again, Stevie, until the next panel with Irv and friends, we'll sign out. Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much. I appreciate it.